we expecting trouble? I don't know, but we're gonna talk about what happened today. Okay. Nature Boy. I do like M60. I also like lasers. I also like squirrels with lasers for their M60s. Okay. Ponji Wagon. How's it going, man? We'll see how this goes. I know that there are a lot of people that are not going to be... They're probably going to want to come in and be all angry, and that's fine. They have a right to be angry. But I'd like to have a conversation. I just don't know if anybody's going to want to come in and have a conversation, or if they're just going to want to yell. And that's fine. If that's what they want to do, they can vent on me. I'm fine with that. I am a big boy. I can handle venting. But I think that if people want to see changes happen, they want to see what happened in Florida State. What's going on, Jesus? They want to see stuff like that not happen as often anymore. No, that is true. Be proportionate. Yeah, it's just going to be a conversation I think a lot of people don't want to have. I'm not one to shy from having that conversation, so I will. I'm going to try being over here today so that I don't cover up my guns. Yeah. I guess I'm still a little bit in front of my AK. We could do that. That's good. There we go. Now I'm not too much in front of the AK. Anyways. You should build one. You can build one. Which one did you get, Jesus? Also, this is that other holster I was talking about. So I have the minimalist holster. That's for my micro. I have one like this for my regular daggers, but it only works for one of them, so I use this because this is more universal for both of my daggers. So I like it. Hi Recon, what's going on, man? We'll see. We'll see if anybody's gonna, if we're gonna get more than just the regular troublemakers. I'm hoping. The last couple nights, I've had pretty good luck with the algorithm, so I'm hoping that happens again. That we. What's my favorite EDC? So my favorite EDC is my. I have 3. I cycle through. I can. First of all, you have to say that you really, really, really love tiny wieners, Busta, and then you have to hit subscribe and ring the bell. Then you can join the Gay Gun Club. It's exactly how you do it. It's my favorite 9mm. Ooh, I'm pretty basic, guys. I like Glock and Glock pattern pistols, just because there's a lot of support for them. They don't cost a lot of money, and they just work. They don't go off. Oh, dude, he's got a 4mm. That's like 5mm less than what most of us carry around to compensate. So that's perfect. Welcome to the club, bud. Okay, so if I had any pistol, I've already said it would be an FN57, their newest model. Hey, what's going on, Felix? Welcome to the show. Well, hey, I'm glad you guys are here. You guys are new. Most of my content is pretty humor based, but obviously with what happened at Florida today, I'm also a really big Second Amendment advocate, like absolutist. I just do a lot of humor stuff. Hey, Skillet. Yeah, that's my Chinese. It's Norika. I have a 9mm Glock variant. Yes, Justin. We'll talk about it. Recon. There was a shooting that happened at one of the universities, and so it's in the news. Hey, Steban. I can't touch any of the guns, Justin. Can't touch any of the guns. So, okay, we've got enough people, I think, in the chat now. Looking for a CCW? Dude, the Hellcat Pro 9 is good. I like, so I have right here, this one. That's a PSA Dagger Micro, which is like a Glock 43X. But it costs less. So that's what I like, if you want like a subcompact. How much Glock 9? Hey, that makes sense since Glock also specializes in horse breeding. So, yes, Recon. If I touch any of my guns, they will shut down the live stream. They'll lock me out of creating live streams for like a week. And then any viewers or anything that I've gotten on my live stream or hours, anything like that, they'll block it from counting. Yeah. It's dumb for those of us that know, like, I'm not going to do anything stupid on a live stream, but for YouTube, like as a business, it makes sense. They don't want to promote somebody offing themselves like on a live stream, because there were a couple times when people offed themselves or actually committed an assault on a live stream, and that was a big deal. So I get it. From a business standpoint, I get it. Hey, boss, I have a 43X and 19X. I want to explore a different caliber carry pistol. Do you have any recommendations? What's up, bud?
This is not my opinion. What stuff? Can you just finish these?
Let me have some of them first.
Okay. Remember, don't share the brand because it's not sponsored.
That's fine. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, you dropped a nut.
I did drop a nut. There you go. Okay, sorry. My son brought me a snack. Okay. For a carry pistol, if you're not gonna do a 9mm for a carry pistol, honestly, I would just do 45. If you're not going to carry 9mm, just carry 45. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Dogwoman? Colin, hello. Hi, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. All right. Is everybody still here that was here earlier? You guys ready? So, we're going to talk about gun laws and gun control. And we're going to talk about what happened in Florida. Thank you, Shats. So, Ruiz, what I would recommend... No, you're good. I actually love when we have a really active chat. I love interacting with the chat. My moderators can talk about it. I'll tell you all about it. I love interacting with the chat. So, sorry, I have food in my mouth. With 45, oh, you're going to be excited, Shats. I've got another guy, another moderator of mine. He'll hop on probably in an hour. But he has an AUG, and he loves his AUG. So, you are definitely in the right place, bud. So, Ruiz, what I would recommend if you're going to do 45 ACP, I would find the lightest, fastest ammo that you can. Thanks, Shats. I appreciate it. Hey, also, everybody, if you guys could hit the thumbs up, that would be great. Hey, Goose, what's going on, bud? So, let me check real quick, but I think my favorite brand of ammo, I think that it comes in 45. It does not. It comes in 40 Smith & Wesson. Sorry, guys, I will get to it. Here we go. Check out Ruiz. Check out Liberty. It's Liberty Ammunition. They have something called Civil Defense. And if they have the Civil Defense Light, it's a 78 grain round, but it's 1900 feet per second in 45. Okay? It's a plus P round. It is smoking for a 45 round. Hey Eric, what's going on? Lego Gone Gaming, what's going on, bud? M1 Garand is an excellent choice. I feel you, Familia. I don't have monkeys, but I had chickens on my farm once, and skunks used to kill my chickens all the time. Colin, that's cool. You have a fully automatic handgun. That's sweet. Goose, maybe tomorrow. We can do it tomorrow. So, okay, we got enough people in the chat. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So earlier today, at Florida State University, I am a fan of Hornady. I use I have a couple things. At home, this is my preferred. It's called Nav X Extreme Penetrator, or not Extreme Penetrator, Extreme Engagement for my 9mm. This is an extremely, extremely light round, and it's extremely, extremely fast. It's also made out of polymer and copper, so it shatters when it hits hard objects. So that's good when you hit a target that you're aiming for, but it's also good if you miss and it hits, say, sheetrock, or it hits studs. Once it hits a couple layers of sheetrock, it'll shatter. So it's great for home defense, guys. So Nav X ammo. And then, like I said, for 45, somebody told me about Liberty Ammunition, and they have not a polymer round. Correct, it prevents collateral damage. Not a polymer round, but it's called their Civil Defense. It's an extremely lightweight jacketed copper round, and it's flat, it has reduced recoil, it's plus P, it's lead free, it's copper monolithic, it's nickel plated. So it's pretty cool stuff from everything I've read on it and everything I've heard people say. So Yeah, but we're gonna. Oh, those are my guns in the background. That's my ASMR video. I have an ASMR video that's my guns being reloaded, just the actions going. So I have a couple ASMR videos. I have one that's that, and one that's all these guns getting shot at the range. So I have a 9-hour video and a 10-hour video. If you guys like gun sounds, I have 2 videos. Go check them out. Listen to them overnight, or just listen to them in the background, or just let them play all day so that it counts towards my watch hours and I can get monetized one day maybe if I'm a good boy. Anyways, okay. Let's get to the hard topic. Today at Florida State University, there was a shooting. There was an active shooter incident. Luckily, there were only 2 fatalities. There were 6 other injuries, but those the hospital made an announcement, so did the police, that that those 6 people were going to recover fully. It means I'm in the Air Force, Shats. That's it's because it's a 6.5 Creedmoor KP. It's a 1,200 meter gun. It's not an AR-15. It's for really long range. So anyways, there was a shooting that happened earlier today. The shooter's been apprehended. He's alive, which you can view that however you want. The reason that I want to bring this up is because, obviously, as a custodian of the Second Amendment, I am a 2A absolutist. Okay, guys? No, you're no problem, KP. As a 2A absolutist, I want us as legal, lawful citizens to be able to exercise our Second Amendment rights. But when incidents like this happen, obviously everyone brings things up. And it's really easy, even as a custodian of the Second Amendment, to go, yeah, it's really terrible, it's maybe there's something that could have been done. I have my absolute, heartfelt empathy and sorrow for the families of the deceased and the victims. Okay? I've lost friends because of firearms and violence. I've seen shootings. I've had other family members. To me, it does not matter how the violence is enacted. Violence is violence. And evil is evil. And that's what this was today. Is it was 100% an act of evil. Now there are going to be people, and I need my moderators to be very patient today. If anybody comes into this stream and they want to detract and they want to be angry and they want to talk about gun violence and how guns are terrible, let them talk. Because if we silence them, then we're restricting their First Amendment right. Definitely do it, Recon. Do it. I do cyber, Tim. I do operations. I do cyber and I do operations. So I do a lot of things. I work with Intel. I work with pilots. I work with SEER. 6.5 Grendel for deer hunting. You could probably do that. If you're going to go deer hunting with an AR-15, honestly, I would do 224 Valkyrie. One Delta right now. But I did just put in a warrant packet. So. So anyways, I think it's very important that we let people be angry. They're allowed. It's good to be angry about things like this. Yeah, I've been 4 different AFSCs in the last 4 years. I used to be a 135 crew chief, but anyways. So it's okay for people to be angry. All right, it's good. We should be angry when things like this happen. When our liberty, when our happiness, when our peace. That's why those of us. I feel you, bud. I hit 20 in November, but I just put in that warrant packet, so I'm willing to endure another 10 years. You're good, Recon. You're good. You can watch the live stream tomorrow. I publish all my live streams. So if you want to miss out on it, whatever we talk about, you can go back and watch. And then if you still comment, I'll go back in and I'll read the comments. I do that every night. Later, bud. So anyways, when that's like those of us that are part of this community, this culture, the gun culture, the custodians of the Second Amendment, family men that are good, based, traditional men. The reason that we carry firearms, the reason that this is so important to us is because we cherish that piece. I tell people all the time. And Eric brings up a good point. I was part of that group. And I tell people, like, I love peace. I know that I'm capable of horrific violence. I've been trained to do it. I go out of my way, and I've paid people to show me how to do it even better. Probably a Glock, just because it's reliable and it works, or a 5.7. What's up, Ordnance? And so when things like what happened today in Florida, exactly. Anyone who's ever been in the military and served overseas, that's watched a drone strike, and when I say, people will say, "Oh, it's just a drone strike." It's not like what you guys see. Like, some of the stuff that I have seen, like missiles don't always fire. I've seen like some of the videos where they do like the really big caliber things from like tanks and stuff, and they hit like the gel. I've seen that, but not with gel. Okay, so missiles don't always fire. They don't always detonate. That's why there's called unexploded ordnance. Neither do mortars. Not everything goes the way that it's supposed to. War and fighting is hell. It's absolute hell. Those of us that are willing to have learned and do exert that hell on others when it's necessary in retaliation or to prevent peace from being disrupted, like, it's not fun. It's hard. It sucks. We're away from our families. We see things that are horrific. Like, we go through more things than people realize. I'm just talking about someone who does cyber stuff. I do stuff remotely. I've been close to things. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen things very graphically, very up close, but still from a screen. I've seen the aftermath of things in person. And so it's not easy. So when people talk about when things like what happened in Florida happen, it hurts. Because I know the first thing that people are going to do is they're going to come after the way that we keep peace. They're going to come after guns. They're going to blame guns. They're going to blame guns. They're going to blame gun violence. There's going to be people that compare us to other nations, and it doesn't make sense. But as custodians of peace, as custodians of the Second Amendment, we need to take a step back, take a breath, let people be angry, and then very logically we approach this situation. Because they're coming at it from a manner of illogic, feelings, emotion, and as much as we are emotionally impacted by it, we need to be empathetic, not sympathetic, but empathetic, and then bring logic into the conversation. Because that's not going to happen on their end. So, I hear you, Lego. We're talking about what happened, Keith. We're talking about what happened in Florida today. 43X. Well, I have a Dagger Micro, Tim. So I have the PSA version, the Poverty State Armory that costs less and works just as well. Diesel Brothers, hey bud, what's going on? I've heard of you. That is a Remington 120. So it's the it's like the sport version, the Ranger, the sport version for name a car for an edit. Okay, a 1967 Shelby Cougar XR7. There were only 8 of them, and it was featured in a film that was made back in the 70s. So, yeah, so that's the Remington 120, the Ranger. So it's the longer barrel for sporting, but it's the same as the I think it's called the Master. That's a 1200. That's like the old police gun, like the old cop gun. I'm not a huge fan of the Keltec one. I'm a big fan of the original 5.7 FM. It's expensive, but it works, and it's really great. So anyways, the reason I want to talk about, correct, Dog Woman. The reason I want to talk about is because there was a lot of talk about gun violence and gun things. So the first thing, and it's not to, I'm not trying to marginalize what happened, but first of all, only 2 people died, and it could have been much, much worse. The shooter had apparently a shotgun. I think there was word of, I know that they used a handgun, and I think there was word of a potential 3rd firearm, but it's still under investigation. Now, people are going to bring up, why did he have access to guns? Well, we're going to talk about that. The guy that did this, I'm not going to say his name, and he did go to the university. His mom was a Leon County Sheriff's deputy, and she worked as a resource officer for Florida State University. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. I believe that his mom was a single mother, which I think played into this a little bit. Probably more than people want to admit, and I hope that that's the case. And this young man, he volunteered and did things with the county sheriff's office with Leon County because his mom was a sheriff's deputy. He was on like an action committee, a volunteer action committee to come up with ideas to help the county come up with money and help provide better services. So he did a lot of good things, it sounds like, with Leon County Sheriff's Department or office. It sounds like in high school he did something similar where he did like a junior sheriff's academy, which is very common in high schools. He was well liked by his peers. He didn't talk about guns with his peers. I imagine that he was probably very familiar with guns since his mom was a sheriff's deputy. I know Johnny B. He's just being a tool right now. He's just trolling. So he was also 20 years old. So this wasn't a kid. So no mental health issues that anyone is aware of. 20 years old, volunteered for the sheriff's department, was a former junior member of the sheriff's department, becoming dangerous. Mother was currently a sheriff's deputy and a resource officer at the school. Probably very familiar with firearms. Honestly, he's 20. My son, you guys have seen Ezra in here. If he came in one day and said, "Hey Dad, can I some of my buddies and I are going to go shooting at one of the gun ranges," and he was over the age of 18, he said, "Can I borrow one of your guns to go do that?" I would say, okay. He's 18 years old. I know, I trust him to take firearms. I know that he knows how to use a firearm safely and be responsible. Why do I have any reason to doubt my child, who I have raised, who you guys know me, I've instilled a proper understanding and respect for firearms and safety. This is a police officer. Even more so, you would think that that's going on. Maybe not, but at least a rudimentary understanding. So when people say, well, why did he have access to firearms? It's like, he lives with his mom, he goes to college, she's a cop. He probably knows where the guns are. He's 20. So there are no laws that are in place in any state that would have prevented this. None. There's no red flag law that would have stopped this. The only thing that would have prevented this from happening is actual gun confiscation. And even then, it wouldn't work because this was a police officer's home. He lived with his mom. This was a sheriff's deputy. So, and that's the concern, Skillet, is there is no law that has ever been presented or thought of or communicated because he lived in a police officer's home. Yeah, and so that's why, like I said, this is not going to be a fun conversation for people, because this is probably one of those incidents that's going to lead to some kind of proposition that people are going to say, none of the laws work, and so we have to be harsher. So I'm telling you all this. I don't know. I don't know that the dad was in the picture. All they've talked about is the mom. They haven't mentioned the dad at all in any way. Well, the logical solution would be to not have the school be a gun-free zone. Florida State University is a gun-free zone. So the only people that are supposed to have guns at the university are police officers. And again, this was the student of a sheriff's deputy, so a police officer. Parked his car, walked into the school. So it's not like banning guns did anything, because the guns were already banned. So there's just a lot of things that I think there's a lot of potential for very negative. They're all right there. Abdul, they're all right there. I don't know. I agree, 18. I agree. Dangerous. I don't know. From what has been announced and what has been discussed, that has not come out. If that is the case, I know that Florida has like soft red flag laws, and then it begs the question as to how the mom was able to keep firearms as a sheriff's deputy not in some kind of super controlled situation if this kid is on psychotropic drugs. But I think it depends on what we're defining as psychotropic drugs, because I know my kids are all on ADHD medication, but those aren't psychotropic drugs. Okay, so here's somebody from 18 is from Florida, so I have that many, Abdul. I have like 9, 10, 20, 75. I understand, Johnny. I understand what you're saying, and I feel for you. I don't have to worry about that because I don't live there, and I know that sucks for you. But it is for me. Because I can, Abdul. Because I want them, and I can. Because I live in a country where I'm allowed to. No, I agree, Panji. Ordnance, not helping. So yeah, just be prepared, everybody. Just be aware that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come out of this. Again, it's still, it happened earlier today. What's going on, Ramita? Hello. ¿Cómo está? Just remember that as a custodian, keep peace. Like, we can't play by the same rules. They can be angry and yell and say completely unrealistic, unreal. They're going to state whatever they want. This is why when I go into things like when I brought up the kids are the number one, to a degree, ordinance, to a degree, there's enough information out there that we can say that we know that no existing gun law would have prevented this. No gun law that's ever been presented would have prevented this. There's no openly talked about dos perros y dos gatos. And so we can acknowledge some of those things. Ocho de 10 más o menos. That would be nice, Tim. I'm waiting. I know that my packet was accepted today by the career field OIC by the lieutenant colonel. He emailed me today, but I don't know if the board is going to accept it. We'll see. Anyways, no, you're right, Ordnance. I 100% agree. Like, the kid was the son of a cop. I kind of went over this. I'm starting to reach the limit of my Spanish, guys. Oh, I don't have any. I don't have any animal. I don't have any taxidermied animals. I don't have any. Yeah, I think they were asking if I had any animal hides or animal heads. So the taxidermy ones. Yeah. No, sorry, Romina. Lo siento. No cuernos o cabezas de un animal. But anyways, dangerous. I don't keep any of those, and most of the ones that I may or may not be involved in, I can't talk about. Anyways, so I think that there's a lot that's going to happen. I think more information is going to come out, but just be prepared, because I think it's going to get ugly because of the circumstance, because it was a cop's son, because they're going to ignore that it was in a gun-free zone. It doesn't appear that this kid, like I said, it doesn't appear that he was on any medication or had any mental health issues. Soy de Utah y Lago de Sal. Oh, cool. Yeah, if that happens, we'll have to we'll make that connection. because I'm going to be if it happens, the board is supposed to be, we're supposed to find out in the next couple weeks. So, anyways, I just want you guys to be aware, like this is hard, because, like, on the one hand, like I said, I am a firm 2A absolutist, but on the other hand, I have children. I have served in the military. I feel for when situations and incidents like this happen. It hurts to see people go through this. And it hurts because now I know I'm going to have to get up and I'm going to have to defend my right to bear arms, my love of firearms, my love of... No, Jason, that's not where I'm going. I'm going to have to defend this, and I'm going to have to do so without emotion, against people who have lost their children. And I am a firm believer that the number of children that would have to die for me to give up my firearms is all of them, including my own, plus me. That is how strongly I feel in defense of the 2A. All right? But it doesn't mean that I don't have empathy and sorrow whenever this happens. And it doesn't happen often. That's the other thing I had to talk about. No, I agree. I agree, 18. 100%. But that's where I come back to, as custodians of the Second Amendment, as absolutists. Yeah, I said it was going to be a hard conversation because it's not easy to admit that we kind of have to turn that emotion down in order to have the conversation in defense of this, because the fact remains, the way that the Constitution is written and the Second Amendment, in order for our country to maintain that and to maintain that liberty, just like anything that we deal, that anyone who's ever served in the military and you learned about risk management framework and risk management, at some point, even like I've talked about in my videos, at some point, I am accepting the risk that something awful can happen, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, but it does mean that I'm okay with it, and I accept that. I accept that sacrifice. I'm glad that I've never had to pay that sacrifice the way that some of these families have, and that I can only empathize with, in the sense that I've lost friends and family members through semi-lateral circumstances. Yeah. Exactly, dangerous. Which is why I'll never say but. I'll never say, I love the Second Amendment, but. Due process has a lot of... due process is a big subject right now, with everything that's going on with people getting deported. Due process is a process. I'm hopeful that that won't happen, because Trump was already kind of ambushed a couple times today, and he said that blaming the gun is not the way to do it. Dover, you're saying kidnapped, but when someone breaks a law in this country, and they're a citizen, and the police know that they broke a law, and they're arrested, I'm gonna go, Dover, is being in the country without being a citizen against the law if you don't have permission to be here? If you go into my house, even if you are a citizen, and I didn't invite you in, are you breaking the law? Kilmar Abrego Garcia was a legal resident. I don't know about that. And if they're a member of an organized crime organization, they're breaking the law. It's against the law to be an active member of a gang or an organized criminal organization. I don't care if multiple judges have backed up whether he's a citizen. If he is a member of a criminal organization in this country or out of this country, and he was here legally, his legal status can be revoked. Yeah, let's go ahead and we're gonna cut that. So again, due process is a process. There's a lot of steps in due process. You get arrested. Are you a citizen of this country? Yes. Can you prove it? No. Okay. If you can't prove it, how do we know you're a citizen of this country? Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Pam Bondi or these new leaders. As you guys saw, I made fun of it earlier this week. Again, I think we're getting off topic here. I say have a healthy skepticism against police, but I also believe that 95% of police are probably good people, because I know a lot of police officers. So, know your rights and know the Constitution. Due process is a process, and if you can't follow the steps of due process, that's it. Later, Betta. Thanks for stopping in. 95% of the police officers that I've ever met have always been courteous and respectful and cool, even the ones that have written me tickets. So anyways, I would just say watch out, prepare for what's going on. I mean, it depends on the school. They kind of teach it to a degree. I said due process is a process. If you can't prove, if you get arrested and you can't prove that you're a legal citizen, and you don't have any way to prove you're a legal citizen, then at that point your due process is over. You are not a legal citizen. And then at that point we can say, okay, well, we gave you the due process that you were due, in that you aren't a legal citizen. Bye. You can argue that, but if you look up the definition of due process, agreed, dangerous, agreed. Yeah, it's just the reality of the situation. When I look at a place like LAPD, I tend to think the LAPD probably has more of the suck. Because I think that LA is a really big city, and I kind of think that the politics and everything there, they use the police force kind of as a personal and private army. And anyone who says different, like, prove me wrong, but so far the track record, like, LAPD gets away with a lot of really janky stuff. Minneapolis PD has gotten away with a lot of janky stuff. So, a great example of, like I've talked about earlier on other videos, is the whole thing with the Weezer lady. Like, she she had a gun, and the police are saying, well, she tried to shoot one of the cops, but when it's been requested to provide the publicly available and publicly like Freedom of Information Act body cam footage, well, we can't really see exactly what happened. It's being investigated, and so we don't know if she actually shot. And it's like, well, then why is she being charged with attempted murder? Do I think it's okay? I don't think it matters. If you're asking me from a constitutional standpoint, your aptitude in firearm ownership and skill does not matter. From a constitutional standpoint, okay? I'm going to say something that a lot of people don't like, all right? All gun laws are unconstitutional, including those that prevent felons from owning firearms. No, you're good. All right? All gun laws, including those that prevent felons from owning firearms, are unconstitutional. They're laws, though, so we obey them. We're going to obey those laws. I believe that it is the right of every citizen, legal citizen of this country, to own a firearm, or as many firearms as they choose to own, so that they can protect themselves, their rights, and their beliefs against a potential tyrannical government or a potential tyrannical group of individuals. It does not matter what it's from. That being said, I would never give a felon a firearm. I would never give a transsexual a firearm, because I believe that transsexual ideas is actually just gender dysphoria, and that's a severe, like, if you don't have the mental stability to look down at your junk and say that's a penis or that's a vagina, there's something very severely mentally wrong with you. If you think it's okay to go into a school and shoot a bunch of children, there's something mentally wrong with you. You have the right to own a firearm. You probably shouldn't own a firearm. But because I am a 2A absolutist, I will never say you don't have the right or your right should be taken away. Now, that being said, I guarantee you, if everyone in this nation over the age of 18 owned a firearm, and everyone in this nation knew that everyone over the age of 18 owned a firearm, and there was no law that prevented concealed carry or any restriction on the type of firearm, crime would go down. It would go like this. It would go whoop, boop. It would go up, and then it would stop. Because everyone would learn really quick the lesson of fuck around and find out. Because the first time someone's like, I'm going to use my gun to rob this store, the cashier's going to shoot that dude. I said, well, why'd you do that? He was trying to rob me. And people would think very, very, very strongly about road rage. And they would think very, very strongly about telling somebody off out in public. So, again, when I say that I am a 2A absolutist and I should be able to own fully automatic firearms and suppressors and SBRs, and I should be able to own as many as I want, and I should be able to own a tank if I want, and I should be able to own an F-15E if I want. Alright? Because in theory, I can use all of those by myself. I know how to fix an airplane. I know how to fuel an airplane. I know how to load the guns on an airplane. I know how to load the missiles on an airplane. I have done all of that. No, you were getting off topic, Dover, and so what I did was I said, please stop, we're talking about something different. And you didn't. So, No. So 2A absolutist. But that doesn't mean that I think everyone should. It just means that I think everyone has the right. Also, Dover and Jason, here is the best part about this platform and the First Amendment. You're on my channel that I have permission to host and discuss how I want. And if I decide that I don't want to listen to you anymore, I don't have to. I'm not going to silence you again unless I decide I don't feel like listening to you. That is part of my First Amendment right. Just because you're being loud doesn't mean I have to listen. Dude, you're wrong. I think everyone should have the right to own a firearm. Everyone does have the right to own a firearm. Yes, Mason, it is. I'm glad that you don't care about who owns firearms. Libertarianism would be great. Unfortunately, liberals have already made their case. You're right. I don't want someone with a mental health issue. I don't want them to own a firearm. But I'm not going to stop them from owning a firearm. See, that's where you're interpreting libertarianism incorrectly. Right? Or maybe you're interpreting it more correctly. That's why I'm not a libertarian. That's why I'm a constitutional conservative that concerns himself only with what's in the Constitution. The Constitution says, shall not be infringed. Everyone has a right to... If you can't tell the difference, Jason, between a penis and a vagina, you are mentally ill. If you think it's okay to walk into a school and murder children, you are mentally ill. If you don't know how to define a mental issue, that is a skill issue on your part. Also, I've got a piece of paper in here that says I can define a mental issue. Something about a degree in psychology. But you didn't go far enough along in the conversation to ask that. But, anyhow, everyone has the right to own a firearm. Do I think that everyone should own a firearm? No. But am I going to stop them from owning a firearm? No. The law stops them in some cases. In other cases, it doesn't. But as I said, I think it would be great if everyone in this country did own a firearm. Because then any of these fuck around and find out situations would be ended very, very quickly and succinctly. One of the things that I think would be great, and it would be very hard, is the mother of this young man, okay, this 20-year-old, correct, dangerous. As someone who's worked the border, I 100% agree with you. I think it would be great if this mother came out and said, I love my son. I will do everything I can to help him get the best defense possible. But I also believe that the state of Florida and the district attorney should prosecute him at the harshest level possible. He killed 2 people, and he tried to kill more, and he harmed and injured 6 other people. I think that he should be considered for the death penalty. I think if his mom, as a sheriff's deputy, came out and said that, I think that would be extremely appropriate and telling, and it would be hard, but it would also be loving, and it would also be empathetic, and it would be the most mature, correct, logical, like law-based justice situation ever. And it would set an example to any idiot and jackass that thinks that they can walk in and start shooting up schools and doing things like this. And it would say, hey, you know what? When you commit evil, even the people that love you and care about you think that you deserve to be treated appropriately for committing that evil. I don't know if he's in stable condition. My gut tells me, based on the stuff I've read in the news, is that he is in stable condition, casual. Go for it, Carl. You're free to do that. I mean, admittedly, because of the cost of living here in the U.S., like in certain places, I can see where Carl may be coming from, not from like a trolley, I hate America, and, you know, using politics to shit on America, but never actually following through with it. I don't think that that's what he's trying to do. But if he is, that's fine. Let him do it. We don't all have high IQs. It says below average Utah dad, but it doesn't mean that I'm not just being satirical. You guys know me well enough to know that I'm a pretty satirical person. I like Clipcast. He's like, capitalism. Capitalism, guys. So. No, I knew that they would be. That's why I called the conversation what it was. I knew that it was going to be an unpleasant conversation. I knew that some people were going to come in. And that's fine. It happened earlier today when I was on the press conference, and everybody was being like people were talking about the kid's race, and they were talking about all the gun violence, and I was like, the gun doesn't have anything to do with it. His race doesn't have anything to do with it. His mental stability is the only thing that this has to do with it. That's kind of what I thought you were getting at, Carl, unless, like, that America sucks. So, hey, Ammo, what's going on? So actually, guys, I'm going to... I think this has been a good conversation. Obviously, this was not the most fun below average Utah dad conversation that we had tonight, because I knew there would be. Yeah, I knew that this was going to be. I knew what was going to happen. I knew I was going to piss some people off, and that's fine. As I've said, I mean, we've seen. I've lost, we can't, there are probably more Bruces in the world, so I understand, Clip. I still love you. I still love all of you. I even like Jason and Dover. Just because I disagree with some of the interpretations, and just because I disagree, like that's one of the beauties of living in this country is we don't all have to agree. Like, disagreement doesn't mean that that we can't find common ground. I think we all understand the implication of what happened today, and we know that there's going to be an uprising to come against our rights. So wherever you are, be involved. More than anything, be involved in your communities and your states, because you know that it's coming. If you look at the circumstances of what happened today, however you want to view it, but the data as it sits, there is nothing that could have happened to give any indication or any warning or any preventative measure or any law that would have stopped this from happening. And so it's going to be argued that different laws that are worse need to be put in practice. I don't believe DeSantis and Trump will allow that to happen, based on things they've said vocally, but their actions do sometimes concern me. They have soft red flag laws in Florida now, after Parkland. which I think was wrong because the existing laws didn't work. I don't really trust Pam Bondi. I don't trust the ATF. Go for it, Kablamo. What's up? And I'm going to leave the stream up as usual. Just I have to get up at 4:30 tomorrow because we're doing some real world exercise stuff tomorrow. And I get to wear my uniform all week. I definitely agree with that, Casual. I've said many times, somebody said, you know, it's easy to go buy a gun at 18. I was like, we give kids the keys to a car at 14, and then like they could just go drive into a school parking lot. They could go drive through the fence at an elementary school playground. You think they aren't capable of doing it, and that's without a firearm. 100% dangerous. That's why it doesn't make sense to compare the U.S. to like other individual countries that have firearm control, because they don't all have other control. Yeah. It's a big thing. Kablamo, did you want to tell us your thought before I step off? Oh, okay. All right, guys. I got to get up at like 4:30, but I got to go do some cool F-35 stuff for the next week, which is pretty awesome. You will probably, I don't know how much of me you'll see. I will try to be active. I'll try to post shorts. I will keep tabs on this, everything that's going on. Like I said, you guys know, everybody, all my regulars, my mods, you guys know me. I'm going to put out as much funny content as I can. I'm going to follow what's happening in Florida. I'm going to follow what's happening in Hawaii, Colorado. I found out today Alaska just passed a law in the city of Anchorage, which is where my dad lives, that's pretty anti-gun. So, like, I do a lot of comedic stuff. I do a lot of humorous stuff. I put out a lot of satire. But I will always be a 2A absolutist and a defender of your right to protect your family and this country from anyone. I may not think that everyone should have firearms to do that, but I also believe it's everyone's right, and that the laws that are in place that prevent it are unconstitutional. So, love you guys. You have a great night. I might stop in really early at like 5:30 in the morning Mountain Time. So if you're up and you're on the East Coast and it's 7:30, maybe stop in, say hi. I'll probably just reset the sound and let the stream go all day tomorrow, since I'm going to be gone like the whole day. I won't be around at all. And I won't be able to be on my phone either. So I agree, Mechanic. 100%. Nope. Gotta change the angle. Do 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 da da da. Have I shown you guys? Have I shown you guys real quick the difference in 6.5 Creedmoor and 5.56? Have you guys ever seen it? Actually, I'll do it another night. I'll do a video. I'll just do a short on it because I don't want the stream to get killed by accident for me trying to show you guys something cool. Anyways, does that look pretty good? You guys like that? You guys see everything pretty well? All right. Okay, guys. Have a good night. I'll probably see you maybe a little bit in shorts, but mostly I'll be busy. God bless America. Oh. Always carry every day. Always carry around in the chamber.